Bryce Harper has found a willing audience for his theatrics in Phillies fans. Washington U to say it was a playoff atmosphere in Washington, D.C. last night wouldn't be quite right, although there was definitely something in the air. The national media, that energy was there, the sense of stakes and history and saying to one another, well, always remember having been here when. But it felt less. Made his heavily heralded return to Washington, D.C. for the first time after rejecting multiple offers from the Nationals. Both offers included and ultimately with their fully revamped NL East rivals just a few hours north on I-95. And now we know, in less than a week of pre- and post-game sound bites and on-field pantomimes, Harper has taken pains to persuade the infamously hard-won fanbase that it was a clean break with D.C. and he only loves Philly now. And boy do they love. 8 buses departed the parking lot next to Lincoln Financial Field at exactly noon on the first day that the Phillies would play the Nationals this season. Inside were boxed, the caravan, which was put together by the Fans of Philly group that has been organizing similar trips for almost a decade, would be met in D.C. by dozens of others who purchased a package that included entry to a pre-arranged tailgate and a ticket to sit in the right field section just behind where Harper plays. The companies found, during the nearly 3-hour drive, fans competed in Phillies trivia for hats donated by the team and marveled that no newcomer had been this beloved this quickly in the city since Terrell Owens. They talked about how he was doing all the right things and that they noticed the pregnancy and now, hopefully he's the second coming of the next Bambino, said Kyle, the bus leader who has been on 30-some Fans of Philly trips. Video by Fox Sports. The Phillies marched essentially unchallenged to an 8-2 victory and baseball's best 4-0 start behind not just Harper who fell a triple shy of the cycle but also Zach Eflin, who tied a career high with 9 strikeouts and 5 scoreless innings. Gene Segura, the reported attendance was 35,920 and we can assume that the vast majority of those ticket sales were to local Nats fans. But the demographics, it can be tempting to say that Phillies fans have come a long way since on opening day, how they've changed their tune since he logged 6 hits including 3 home runs and 3 walks in 11 plate appearances since then. But the truth is though, that said, narratives have a way of developing a life of their own and sweeping us all media included, if not especially so up with them. Bryce Harper can't, and in this first week, in last night's game, his playing has felt scripted. The early failures, in their first homestand, Harper opened each Phillies game with a dramatic bow to the fans in right field. It doesn't really, he said after the game, that he was trying to figure out in the early innings whether it was Nats fans or Phillies fans in those seats. And that it became, I was just making sure those were all Philly fans in that section, Harper said. And then whatever happened, Harper's taken some heat in his career for being an overly showy player. But he seems to have more from Yahoo Sports.
Raindrop, truck top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,